always thought about Hadrian's Wall was interesting. It looks like a sheep could jump over it, scramble over this. So it must have just been a line of demarcation. And it's supposed to be all that thing. It only runs for 73 miles in length. 73, in fact. Very interesting number. And here we have 888, 2 8s, 2 by 4 8. Of course, 8 6 14. A very interesting little set of figures there for the ferocious. Interesting, the invasion date, AD 43, and of course 814,777. Yes, and in 1088, 8 knights were appointed under 10 years to guard Dover Castle. Look at their names here. See names there? Maminot. Maminot. This one might have been okay. It's not a mammy. Windmill was erected on Tower 22, which was later known as the Mill Tower. Tower 22, eh? And here's our Roman tiles in our arches. Interesting here, 75 feet, 57, 75, 12, and the old 19 to the sun. And notice the 19 then to a 6, give you the 25. Marian Castro. And here is 50 and 130, of course 135. 513, 153. You know that one so well. Of course, links nicely to the octagon idea here. Even the trains are in on it. 1 and 2. Row 12, 21. Yes, please note the layers of Roman tile alternating with worked flint and stone. Looking up here, it must be from inside. It's supposed to be square inside, they said. Very strange indeed. There are 4 levels. There is our other picture there. Interesting construction indeed. Yes, the title's rather interesting. An unlikely survivor. This is quite a nice little garage they've got going here. This would be the perfect thing to put your Jaguar in. Any sort of sports car. In fact, you'd get your fire truck in there. But certainly a garage design. They didn't like windows on this one. They preferred a dark sort of look. Certainly somebody was good at cutting this off here. Cut the square off there and square off there. And here's one from Leptus Magna. The arch of Septimus, sept of course being sevenus. I've already covered that one. This is Tarragona, very similar to that little British look, isn't it now there? This bit of an arch here, thousands of years old. And of course here, this statue, I think it's just the best of the lot. Fantastic condition with all its drapes, just amazing. Incredible Roman construction, and these here looking very good. I don't know where all the roof and anything else went. Somebody burnt that, cleared that away, but the statue remained defiant. That's for certain. November 9, 119.
Today we're breathing 21% oxygen. Amber bubbles have 32% oxygen. Did you know if you Horse had nostrils the same size as a horse. How is an 80-foot animal going to get enough air through nostrils the same size as a horse? He'd be sucking so hard trying to get a breath, it'd set him on fire from the friction from the wind whistling in there. They couldn't.
Well, hello, the Montecito Santa Barbara mud floods with 7.7 views. Once we see that Max Egan, noted tea enthusiast, very strange ears, once we see that he's involved here, and they're talking about Russia, and here we sort of have MiG 11, 1 for 11, 65 for an 11, 11, MiG 11. Good on you there, Max, on the Richie Allen Diggervale show. Good on you, Richie. Great stuff. All over the world, beaming out the mud flood. Now, the thing you should notice is no one's questioning these photos. Where did these photos come from? This bottom here looks really fake to me. And is this supposed to be Tartaria? Well, that looks like an American pickup, Dodge pickup or something, Mercury. Or maybe a convertible. Certainly they look exactly like Russian cars here in the street, neither does this one. The old 60s look, and this looks more American than it does Tatarstan, that's for sure. Tatarstan, yes, there's been a place called Tatarstan. It used to have mosques. The Russians came in and built churches, and sure, they've got a picture here of a really grand Tatarstan building. This building wouldn't be even older than maybe 1920s built. Could have been built in the 1880s by the Tsar. One of the two. They built a lot of these things in that period. Definitely doesn't look older than that to me that they're carrying on. And all the spikes generate electricity, but there were no appliances. Might have gave ambience to the building, would have been the idea, for sure. But it's a fair stretch to say, oh yes, it was all power. Well, where's all the appliances? That's for certain. And then, of course, we had Sir Walter Raleigh placing his cloak, similar to cloaca, placing his cloaca on the mud for Elizabeth to stand on. Well, the meaning up of cloaca. Well, here we have the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park Pretty Muddy Kids, destined for one of our favourite dates, the 27th of July. And there you go, see the picture, pretty in purple here. The purple mud going on here, that's for certain. I think this is one to avoid. And this picture they show here, these things haven't had any mud on them for years and years and years, and this was the level. I don't know exactly what's going on here, if this is even real. But it could be that they've stripped all this stuff off there just because they're restoring it. Because it would have been maybe a fair bit dirtier being here on street level. No guarantee at all. Does this guy question this picture at all? He just puts it up and says, this is so, not maybe. No maybes whatsoever with these people. This is how it is, folks. And cross over to Dan, our other mudflood man, have mudflood meetups and everything. I've seen this sort of circus show before. Checkers and Stripes I always talk about. They love Venetian blinds in the background and the mirrors. So we know this one here, don't we? And this image here, I think they're trying to say, look, they took this away and look where they uncovered. But the only problem I can see is straight away, this is not this. This is different. Look, the window's got nothing on top, and here it's window all the way. Fairly different structure altogether. A little bit similar, you know. A little balcony out here. Where's the one here? You see, it's enough of a mind thing when they show this for most people. They don't look hard and they go, oh gee golly, where's look? And this looks like it's been all under mud. And then look at this black tar down here, the tartar, of course, the rat, all the things we can think about when we, the idea of tartar. And of course they called all that thing tartar because the first people you run into and you just assume, oh, well, they own all the land, you knew there was land the other side, etc. You know, mapped it all, and tartar was a name encompassing it all, that's all. Nothing real mysterious at all. And sure, in the western part of Tartar land, Tatarstan, Kazan, there was a town. It's only a bit of a villagey town. All those buildings they show you that they pretend are really old are not old at all. And you've got to love this. Look at this here, the ancient technology, and they show you this building with the gold top. Well, I'd say I'd date this building at somewhere in the 1800s, maybe early 1900s. Nothing ancient in Tartaria other than the huts they used to live in virtually. Might have been a few stone forts, etc., but nothing on the grand scale that the Russians came in and built. And had the idea of the pictures without people. People here anyway in this one, but they do say this, that, oh, look at these empty streets, there was no one there, and it was the ghost buildings. Well, that's a painting for a start. And then even some of these old things were half painting type pictures. They could touch out the people if they wanted to, but also photographers back in the day, a bit of setting up, they used to do a lot of stuff on Sundays, and that's true of all artworks and things. People have the day off and they go around and photograph buildings and there's no one around. I remember as a child when it was Sunday and Saturday afternoon in the commercial district as well, the area was a ghost town. Well, you could go and take photos of the buildings. Of course, there's also early in the morning or later in the day. At times they get pretty quiet as well too. Depends on the city, depends what's there, if there's cafes, cinemas, etc., which might bring more people. So it's no evidence whatsoever, and they don't even put that on the plate and say, well, it may be they took this on Sunday or something. They don't even mention it, of course not. They just proceed over to Max Egan. That's the way it goes, Egan, Nagi. That's the old serpent idea. And then look at this beauty of a picture. Well, this is supposed to give you all sorts of mind ideas. Gee, that must be a big Statue of Liberty type thing. Look how little the people are. Now, does this look real to you anyway? Just split down the middle there. This is the frauds that are popping up, the maps. You don't know which ones to trust now because they've put so many things up, no doubt, to back all this up. This is quite an involved little operation, that's for certain, just to have burst out the way it did. I mean, around, you can probably find something that's nearly 2 years old on this, maybe even a bit older with New Earth Channel. And I always thought, gee, this is creeping nuts. You're starting to get views and then people picking up off it. And I long ago made videos saying, look, there's a few things here that these people say that might have credibility, but I can smell some tartar sauce, rat. And then we have the Tartaria tablets. Have you had your tablet? TTT, in fact. And yes, sort of same idea as Egypt, the new Egypt, some people are calling it. We're being gypped again. And so advanced, that they have these little things with holes in them. Now, there's no guarantee at all that these have anything longer in history than about 2017. Just to feed this stuff. But even if they did find a few things like this in the field, I mean, this is hardly the buildings they present with the energy ideas and all this. So these run on energy. What do they do when you feed them with energy, What were the things that were running off all this energy? And then you have Tesla in the mix. And then you have John Titor, which, with that giant thing, of course, Titan comes to mind. Now, this is Tartaria by Jodicus hondius. The name already is suggesting some of the fraud going on here. Some divided in three, and I mean that's well known because these ones are very European, these ones are a bit in the middle, and these ones are much more Asian. And there's lots of tribes in this whole area. They certainly weren't all ruled by one, special empire called Tartaria. There may have been some guy called Tamerlane. It's old stories, Golden Horde, etc. There was some, maybe small collectivity of things in this area, but not the rest of it. There's a vast area, there's no doubt about that, and it's just mountain ranges and very cold, tundra and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it would tell you that because it's that far from any sea, it's going to be a lot colder. So, and without being near the ocean, this is all up here was real warm ocean one time, then I might believe it, but you have to prove that to me. To try and suggest the way this area is, it's anything more than the big wilderness with a Silk Road connecting these two and therefore posts along, where there's economy. But further you go north, but it's the old thing of Prester John. They're looking for Prester John. You gotta look that one up. And as we always say, birds of a feather, they flock together. Here we have Titor, time traveller, on the tube, the global Mandela effect rubbish, mudflood rubbish, Tartaria rubbish, and Nikola Tesla. Tesla spaceman cars and the whole bit to do with Nikola Tesla, one of their favourite little psyops on the public for many years. Same as Edison, Tesla, all, we'll never get to the bottom of whatever's going on with these people, but they certainly, birds of a feather, flocking together every time. TT, the connecting link with everything we ever look at. Interesting word here, solipsism. Meaning self-centered and distractions. Just got the up here. The theory that the self is all that can be known to exist. Tartaria the orgasm. Maybe this video's okay. It's by Suzzo. Maybe he's Suzz on it. I'll have to watch it and get back to it some stage. But it's horrifying, isn't it, really? Everything that we're seeing here. As soon as you see Max Egan, and then he was the man who did the fake flight to South America, where he just did not prove one bit whatsoever that he really travelled there in the time he said. Tartaria declassified, the Golden Gate, GG, exposition, and GG alright, 7-7. But here they're mentioning Baron Trump, no doubt. I'll be doing a video, I've done one a long time ago on this Baron Trump idea, all just part of the scripting, nothing to really see here, unless you just can't pick outside the square, as it were, and then you'll realise that they just lay all this out, and then they just make it all happen, and then they even have teachers in the middle of it, and they can lead people up garden paths, down yellow brick roads to the Emerald City. Yeah, so I'll do one more video on the time traveller idea, but here you go, look, the clock is set to 12. It's one of those one-handed clocks. That's an interesting idea. I saw a link to Queen Elizabeth as well, I must say. But on the 12, of course, now people should realise you could reverse this 2 and 1, or 1 and 2, and then you have 21, which is your 777. Everything in this little episode, you might say, you'll find the 7s in. Whether it's 7, 14 or 21, or the 12. They're the most popular little ones that they use. And look at these tablets. Take your pill. And look out. Here's something I'll show you before you get to see it, because no doubt they'll be talking about this before we know it. These are the Gosford Glyphs, evidence of the Phoenicians or the Egyptians in Australia, ancient times. And I'll tell you, this stone here, in when it gets exposed in environment right near the water here in Gosford, it weathers quite at a good rate. That anything etched in it becomes very faint fairly quickly, and you can see how well marked these are and how sharp they are. Products of, somewhere in the 70s this first appeared, and it was in all the magazines like Nexus, etc. It's well being beaten around, a bit like big critters like Bigfoot, etc. in those magazines. I'm sure people in America have probably seen these. We've got a few things in Australia. Gympie Pyramid's another one. And somewhere up at Mackay they say there was a Phoenician mine. So I may look at that in a future video. As we can see here, it's similar to Tartare, all just very recently made. And then of course very good for a whole lot of spellcraft. Yes, I'll look at this a bit further, just a little tidbit on the end of the video here. Look, revival in the Hebrides. And that's what they say, that all revivals that come from the Hebrides, Christianity spread through the rest of England and Scotland from the Hebrides. And Duncan Campbell, of course, in later times, very interesting character that I've already mentioned. But the one-hand clock, I'm sure there is one in the Hebrides, there's certainly one in Lincolnshire, but this was the first search that came up under the one-hand clock, the revival in the Hebrides, so that was just interesting because I'd already been looking at present state of the Hebrides. One hand for Jenny. So I'll look a bit more at one-hand clocks. Lewis Awakening. Look, here you go. And we had the Queen with mud tea set. And here we have McQueen getting stuck in the mud. Yes, no separation, folks. Mud and the Queen. Of course, Mary Queen of Scots, famous for a bit of mud on the dress too. So we've already got President Dwayne here back in 2017. And how's the her bird? He's a bird, but he's a her bird. Camacho. So I'm going to look at this a little bit more. I just thought I'd put this up just to say, look, I've just done a video on my other channel about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and how he's looking like a contender, maybe not this election, but over the next few years, becoming a very powerful figure. He's already talking to governors, and he's putting up things which are getting huge views on, media, of course. He's one of the most watched people going. And lo and behold, here's President Dwayne Lizard. Mountain Dew. It's got that Confederate idea. Herbert, of course, as well. And Camacho. A little bit of a Hispanic idea, maybe. I said I'll look at this further. Of course, Cam, like Cameron, anything to do with Cam is a shift idea, crooked. Of course, with the Wayne, we get Dwayne, Owain. But the Wayne, of course, Bruce Wayne, Batman, and we had the Samoan fruit bats. And of course, he is part Samoan, so they say. Yes, and recently we were looking at the Joan. Who's the Joan here? And Lewin. And that was in the media yesterday. To do with Q, of course. Here we have Owen Tudor, the 8th generation descendant. Lewin the Great, Joan, and here's your King John idea, which has been in the media as well. I tell you, never a dull moment with this stuff. And of course, Tudor for House of Judah. And there was a bit of Richmond around there somewhere. And this one, the interesting one, Jasper. And talk about the Titan Games himself, creator and executive producer. 33 days you'll die. Scorpion King. Another big idea we've been seeing around as well. House of Tudor. And look here. Jew-Man. Jai. And Sander for Alexander. Sandy. And the Brave. Always the Brave. And the Stone, of course. Always the Stone. And this idea of smouldering. I love that. Yes, the Champion on Star Trek, and the old Saturday Night Live, which we know has had a lot of stuff going on with that, pre-programming, etc. And the Heart in the House, the Corey, and the Hannah Montana. There you go, another Montana as we know, and the Hannah, same in the Mirror. And this one, the Waverley, which is Sir Walter Scott. There's that many Waverleys across America, all because of Sir Walter Scott. Now he's Dwayne Douglas, and both Owain and Douglas referred to dark or black. And here he is Transformer, darkness rising. Know your role. 20-year saga going on here. We see a Jew-Man Jai, with Jack Black. Another black. So much black stuff going on here, it's outrageous. And look at this one here, The Man with Taylor Swift. A voice cameo. Well, there you go. I'll be a man. Can't really find where the rock is in this clip here. Typical Taylor Swift. Maybe it's this guy's voice at the end. They said a voice cameo. Somewhere here there's a guy talking. Okay, no problem. Sounds like the rock there. Okay, no problem. Okay, no problem.
Be sexier, maybe more likable this time.
Okay, no problem. There we go. Yes, Douglas, the Black Stream, and you should remember old Obama doing the Dougie dance. Yes, the old Dougie, a thing in the Obama presidency. How did Dougie? Club dancing, the hip-hop dance, by shimmying. Very feminine idea, shimmying.
I love Michelle Obama. How can anyone not like her? She wants to eat.
My word as president will fix the problems with all of them. responsibility and full accountability for something that has been hundreds of years of systemic disease. Why am I taking full accountability? Because I am your leader. Why am I taking full accountability? Because I am your leader. Because I am your leader.
Closed eyes just before he says this.
Why am I taking full accountability? Because I am your leader. I'm your leader.
Now, not only do we have the Batcoin coming from Samoa, in all this hoo-ha that's going on with the China and the South Sea idea, I saw a thing where how the Americans, of course, claim a lot of the Pacific is theirs too because of Hawaii, but also US Samoa. I think that's an interesting part in this whole little thing. The Samoan, the Samson, the pulling down of towers ideas, and John, of course, John the Baptist, the cleansing ideas. So there's a lot involved in the old Dwayne Douglas Johnson.
The process to change has already begun. You can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel it across our country.
So we'll just have to wait and see. I don't think he'll run for this president election, of course. It's Biden versus Trump, or much pretty decided. But it gives him, the chance now, and after Black Adam, I think he'll do that movie, and then after that, it'll be Mr. Political, and he'll become a real thorn in the side of Donald Trump, because I'd expect them to put Donald Trump back in. It's just too good for the media. They've never had ratings like it. Just like he was successful in The Apprentice, the Sorcerer's Apprentice show. And I wonder if this one was even on the Sorcerer's Apprentice. As you know, they all interconnect anyway. They're all working for each other somewhere. It's just a Punch and Judy show. But certainly got the egg. Look here, Eggman, and gee, that's like St. Moritz down here. Very steep indeed. Well, people know I've been looking into Elton John, the fantastic Elton John. In fact, of course, he had an album, Captain Fantastic. Now, here he is at the Diamond Jubilee performance. I'm thinking his footage is not green screen, as people suggested. But irrespective of that, I found something very interesting, and I'll just let Elton tell you.